Happy Royal Rumble weekend, guys, and welcome back to the random video blog where every single Friday I, Graham GSM Matthews, run down my rambling wrestling thoughts, share a few stories, etc., and a mere 48 hours out from one of WWE's most exciting and anticipated events of the year. How can today's random video blog not be Royal Rumble related? And I was surprised looking back on my past video blogs to make sure I hadn't done this yet. I've talked about my top 5 favorite Royal Rumble theme songs last year. Last year I did my top 5 favorite Royal Rumble returns. The year before that I don't think we did it either, but I have yet to talk about my top 5 favorite Royal Rumble matches. And I'm not just talking about matches that took place at the Rumble pay-per-view. That list would be pretty condensed, just because there's not a lot of great matches. Like I know Angle and Benoit from Royal Rumble 2003. I know a question I'm sure I've answered in #AskGSM before in terms of best bouts on the Rumble pay-per-views that aren't the Rumble matches themselves. That match was great. Edge and Dolph Ziggler from 2011 was a great match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Seth Rollins, how could I forget from 2 years ago rather. Last year, Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose in an IC Championship last man standing match. All among my favorite non-Rumble matches from the event. But today we're talking about my own list. It's a very subjective list. Your list could be completely different. My own top 5 favorite Royal Rumble matches. And these are including Royal Rumbles that I was also not a fan for. As of course I said earlier, and as I've said multiple times before here in the video blog, and I mean, when I say several and multiple, I say like a million times. I pretty much say it like every video blog. I've been a fan for the past 9 years, since April of 2008. So I'm only encompassing most of the Rumbles I've been a fan for, but in addition to a few Rumbles I was not yet a fan for, but still watched back on the network and thoroughly enjoyed. And a few honorable mentions, I'll throw it at the end, but I don't want to hear any comments like, oh, where's this Royal Rumble? That was the greatest of all time. Just because I didn't list it here does not mean it's not a good Royal Rumble. Favorite and best, as I've always said, are two very different things. I could say last year's, or rather 2 years ago, or the year before that, which absolutely fucking sucked, were my favorite Royal Rumble matches of all time. And I wouldn't be wrong, because it's a subjective list. It's my own opinion. Opinions are not wrong. They might be dumb, which that opinion would be dumb. But I would not be wrong in saying that. But I do assure you the 2014 and 2015 Royal Rumble matches are not on this list. So without further ado, ahead of Sunday's Royal Rumble pay-per-view, let's get started here. Coming in at number 5 from, I guess very fitting, from 2005, the Royal Rumble match, which was won by an up-and-coming Batista. As I've said before as well, I love the year of 2005 in WWE. Not just the Rumble match, which really isn't all that surprising, but that whole year in WWE had a lot of great feuds. It was such a great underrated year for feuds, and really the peak of the brand split, in my opinion, from Batista versus Triple H, which is what this match set up, to John Cena versus JBL, Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, Randy Orton and The Undertaker. So many awesome feuds. Shawn Michaels and fucking Kurt Angle. Another story that kicked off in this Rumble after Kurt Angle came in like a house of fire, was taken out literally in like a minute by Shawn Michaels. Angle came back in and I think helped someone, or maybe eliminated Michaels himself. But that was what kind of kick-started that feud heading into WrestleMania 21, one of my favorite matches of all time, which I talked about last week here in the video blog, my top 5 favorite Kurt Angle matches as a fan. Cheap plug, check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, just so many awesome stories happening here. And you look at the Final Four, and to me, the Final Four of any Royal Rumble is so fucking important, because it kind of sets the stage, in my opinion, for the rest of the year. Like, last year, I think it was, I don't know if it was Jericho, but I know it was Triple H, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose, which I'll talk about a bit later on, spoiler, but no, for this match specifically, like in past years, like 2015, I think it was like Big Show, fucking Kane. Rusev went on to do some good things in the year that, in the months that followed. Beyond that, not really that much, but, and then Roman Reigns, the eventual winner, and that was one of the worst Royal Rumbles in recent memory. But the 2005 one specifically, you have Batista and Ric Flair, Evolution stablemates, who teamed up earlier in the evening to defend their World Tag Team titles against Team 3D, a match that's on Batista's DVD, which I fucking love, by the way. I watch that every January. I did not get to watch it this year. I was too busy, but I'm getting sidetracked here. But the point I'm trying to make is that the Royal Rumble Fatal 4-Way, or the Final Four in this Royal Rumble, however, was Batista, Edge, Rey Mysterio, and John Cena. 3 out of 4 of those men are actually all four of those men went on to win I was going to say won world titles within that year. All four men in the final four right there went on to win their matches at WrestleMania. Batista became world heavyweight champion, beating his protege, or rather his mentor, Triple H. John Cena went on to beat JBL for the WWE Championship. Edge won the Money in the Bank ladder match, going on to become WWE Champion less than a year later. Rey Mysterio beat Eddie Guerrero, going on to win the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 22. So it really all kind of ties back to this Final Four in this Rumble and all the stars that came out of it. And I think Orton might have been in this match, or no, he wasn't. I think he faced Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship earlier in the evening, so he was not in this Rumble. But like I said, from Shawn Michaels and Angle to the Final Four here, just the story it told. I really enjoyed this Rumble. Benoit had a great run after winning it the year prior. I'm pretty sure he came out at number 1. I think with Eddie Guerrero, if I'm not mistaken. So again, two of the best 1-2 entrants in recent Rumble history, or even of all time, I would say. So great Rumble. The botched ending, I think, really worked out. I mean, I know it wasn't planned. Batista has said that himself. Several writers have come out and said that was not the planned finish, with obviously Mr. McMahon blowing up both of his quads was an added bonus, kind of the cherry on top, but I thought it worked out for the better, and it was, like I said, the peak of the brand split was 2005, in my opinion, the original brand split, and a Raw guy versus a SmackDown guy, two guys who were the really the cornerstones of that company in 2005, squaring off, tying at the exact same time, and not like the whole 94 finish where they just declare both men Rumble winners, Batista and John Cena. They restarted the match, and you would think they'd restart the entire Rumble, which would make more sense. But that aside, Batista and Cena kind of going back at it for a moment, both guys reversing each other, the other's finisher. In the end, it was Batista punching his ticket to the main event of WrestleMania 21, later going on to become World Heavyweight Champion. So again, great match. Thoroughly enjoyed the year of 2005. Another year that I love comes from 2008, my number 4 favorite Royal Rumble match. Only mere months ahead of when I officially became a wrestling fan. So, of course, I did not watch this Rumble match at the time. But watching it back on the network really made me, really stood out to me how great this Rumble is, and in my opinion, very underrated. First of all, the atmosphere. The entire pay-per-view is great. But taking place in MSG, the unique entrance stage that they've used in the past for old school shows, and they brought it back before, that to me is really fucking cool. I love when they do stuff like that. They had Jimmy Snuka in there, Roddy Piper as kind of the throwback legends, which people popped for. 1 and 2, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, the two men who closed out the Rumble the year prior. How fucking cool is that? Those guys were the Iron Men of that Royal Rumble. Triple H, a notable name. Batista, a notable name. John Cena making his grand return, unexpected, unannounced return at number 30. Regardless of what do you think about John Cena, that return will go down as one of, if not the single greatest Rumble return of all time, going on to win it and punch his ticket to WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. A match he would lose, but nevertheless, still, I thought this was just a really, really fun Rumble. Awesome crowd, some really good stories told, like I said, with Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Triple H, Batista, Hornswoggle got thrown in there, something I didn't really care for. Mick Foley, I think, was in the Rumble for a brief stretch of time. Jimmy Snuka, Roddy Piper, the returning John Cena. You can't go wrong with the 2008 Royal Rumble. Again, favorite year of mine. I'm biased because I started watching officially wrestling in 2008, but still, regardless of what you think of John Cena that year, you got to admit that Rumble match was the last truly great Rumble up until last year, in my opinion. Number 3 on the list is the 2011 Royal Rumble. A Rumble that was previously number 2, and again, spoiler, but I'll get to that next. But the 2011 Rumble was not a great Rumble, really, in my opinion. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, this is where we kind of get to that discrepancy between favorite and best. 2011, a year that I really, really enjoyed. That overall show I thought was great. Eve Torres winning the Divas Championship. The Miz and Orton for the WWE title. Dolph Ziggler and Edge kicking off the show with an awesome match over the World Heavyweight title. But the Rumble match, the first and only to date Royal Rumble match that was 40 men, that featured 40 men. And because of that, the match was a bit longer than it probably should have been. There was a lot of jobbers in there. I thought there might have been more jobbers in the 30-man Rumble a year later in 2012, which to me was so fucking boring and disappointing. But this Rumble I liked a lot, if only for the returns of Booker T and Kevin Nash. which most people kind of knew was happening. If you didn't live under a rock and you heard the news that weekend they were coming over from TNA to WWE to appear in the Rumble, you knew that. And they both later signed deals with the company. Kevin Nash became, he became a legend, essentially. He signed a Legends deal, as did Booker T, joining the SmackDown commentary team later on that week. But you also the story of the Core versus the Nexus, which really didn't go anywhere. That match did not happen at WrestleMania. But you had John Cena attempting to eliminate all members of the Nexus, which I think he ended up doing. Punk had a great run in this Rumble too. But especially down the stretch, there was not one obvious winner. You kind of had the idea, or there was some speculation that John Cena could win because they were in Boston. But he did not. He got tossed out relatively early by The Miz to set up their match for WrestleMania. But in the end, I think it came down to Randy Orton and Del Rio, of course. Del Rio winning before realizing that Santino was still in. I mean, I don't really give two shits about Santino, but that ending with him nearly winning, you knew Santino wasn't going to win. But it was still a cool moment. The crowd went fucking nuts. Del Rio eventually tossing him over the top rope. Matt Striker going crazy on commentary. Ricardo Rodriguez going nuts at ringside. Del Rio's old ring announcer. Again, just a really good Rumble, I thought. I mean, it's not really great watching it back just because it was a bit long in the tooth in terms of time and being 40 men. But for what it was, I thought it was unique. They kind of needed to make it 40 men, at least for that year, just because a third of the spots would have gone to the Core and the Nexus, the new Nexus, whatever. Two awful stables, by the way. The Nexus was a lot better than the new Nexus. Kind of jumped the shark after SummerSlam 2010. Again, another topic for another day. But anyway, though, I thought the match itself was unique. They made the most of it. The surprises were great, and the Rumble winner was right, with Del Rio going over and being a fresh face and punching his ticket to WrestleMania to face Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship. So number 2, as I said, 2011 was previously occupied that spot of my second favorite Rumble match of all time before it got knocked down to number 3 by last year's Royal Rumble, the 2016 Royal Rumble match. The first Rumble in 24 years to be contested over the WWE Championship. That alone made this match must-see. I read back reviews of the match now. John said it was boring. I've heard people say it really wasn't that good. And again, I'm not saying it was an amazing Royal Rumble. I remember saying at the time that was awesome. And in my opinion, it still is really good. I watched it back the other day to review it for WrestleRant. And again, I thoroughly enjoyed it. There were certain points that kind of dragged on. But again, you had several stories being told. You had Owens and Dean Ambrose, who fought earlier in the evening, coming out, I think, at like 18 and 19 or something like that, 16 and 18, whatever it was. They came out and rekindled their rivalry before Sami Zayn came out and rekindled his rivalry with Kevin Owens and tossed him out of the Rumble to kind of set up their feud later on heading into WrestleMania. You had the Wyatt family dominating a lot of people. Braun Strowman, who I think a lot of people forgot, eliminated both Big Show and Kane. I think maybe Mark Henry too, but I know he got rid of those two giants. I remember watching that and thinking, oh shit, we could see something similar this year. But that was pretty damn cool. The Brock Lesnar elimination could have been done better by the Wyatt family, which was supposed to set up a match between Bray and Brock for Mania, which didn't happen, thankfully. I know Ambrose and Lesnar was not that much better from an in-ring standpoint, but Bray losing again would not have done many favors. I mean, he got buried at that show anyway, but again, another topic for another day. But the overall Rumble from AJ Styles coming in at number 3, by far the highlight of that Royal Rumble. To the League of Nations taking out Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns disappearing from the Rumble for like fucking 40 minutes at a time was so stupid. But at least he was not among the final 2. I think that might have been an audible. As I think the AJ elimination was too, with Owens tossing out AJ. I think it was originally supposed to be, I think, Roman Reigns. I'm not really sure. The people would have shit all over that. They were shitting on Roman anyway. But when Roman got tossed by Triple H, it was almost the equivalent to the reaction that Hulk Hogan received when he got tossed out of the 92 Rumble by Ric Flair, ironically enough, which was also for the WWE Championship, which they have since edited on the network, unfortunately. But still, I thought Ambrose and Triple H, and you knew Ambrose was probably not winning because he was still the IC champion at that point, as he is going into this year's matchup. But it was still a cool little moment, for people going crazy for Ambrose, thinking that there might be that small glimmer of hope that he could win this match. And of course he didn't. And Triple H making his return at number 30 to eliminate Roman Reigns and set up the very, very, very predictable match of him and Reigns at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. But still, on the whole, I thought it was a great Rumble. Definitely the best Rumble that we've had in many, many years. Which leads me to my next Rumble match here on the list. my favorite Royal Rumble of all time. My favorite, again, not the best. I thought the 2016 Royal Rumble was the best Rumble since this one, which again, a surplus of stories in this Rumble, which really, to me, make a great Royal Rumble, which is why the 92 Rumble, which is not on the list, an honorable mention, great Rumble, it's not on the list, but it is among, if not the greatest Rumble of all time, because of the surplus of stories that it featured, that it told. And this one was no different. The main story in the 2010 one, you had Shawn Michaels trying to fight his way to face Undertaker at WrestleMania, who was the then World Heavyweight Champion. If Michaels won, he could get his rematch with the Undertaker at WrestleMania for the world title. I mean, the world title was just really an added bonus. Shawn Michaels wanted the fucking Undertaker at Mania, again, one-on-one. And he had to win this Rumble in order to get that. He eliminated a whole bunch of people, including his own partner, Triple H, that led to them dropping the tag team titles a short time later. But he ended up getting dropped from the match by Batista. And then in the end, Shawn Michaels just went berserk, super kicking referees. It was an amazing performance by Shawn Michaels. You had Batista in there, I think coming in at number 30, taking out a bunch of people. Edge obviously returning at number 29. I said this before, I think Edge might have been my favorite Royal Rumble return of all time when I ranked it last year. I might be wrong. But just because, as I've said before, this is my favorite Rumble, in addition to the match being great, but also because they bugged my mom for weeks, literally since like Christmas of that year, Christmas of 09, for me to buy the Royal Rumble. And by that point, I had been a fan for almost 2 years, by January of 2010, and I had yet to buy a WWE pay-per-view. Of course, not with my own money, but I never really asked my mom to buy it. We lived in a house at the time, and I did not have pay-per-view, so I didn't really want to push it, but we were living at my grandmother's at the time, so we left there to go to my aunt's house to watch the 2010 Royal Rumble because my grandmother didn't have pay-per-view. So we went to my aunt's house, and it was amazing. I just remember watching that show, being so happy, walking home with a smile on my face that Edge had come back. Not only come back, but won the Rumble. And Edge had been gone for 6 months. He was supposed to be out for a year with his torn Achilles tendon. He came back 29 to an amazing ovation, I think in Atlanta, and won the whole thing to face Jericho for the world title at WrestleMania 26. Again, a very underrated WrestleMania. But you had that story, you had the Legacy in there, who were kind of the cohorts of the WWE champion at that time, Randy Orton. Who went for the WWE title earlier in that evening and lost. But if the Legacy won, they could have gotten a shot at the same title that Orton lost or failed to win earlier in the evening, so that was interesting. But yeah, a lot of just a cool, and of course, how could I forget Beth Phoenix in there, but how could I forget CM Punk's amazing performance, and in my opinion, one of the greatest performances in Rumble history, when he came out, I think, in number 3, tossed out Evan Bourne and Dolph Ziggler, and then just went on a rampage, taking out everyone in sight, having people take the Street Edge pledge before tossing him out of the Rumble like a JTG or a Zack Ryder. And I just remember saying to John when we watched WrestleMania 26 together, the guy Punk, he cut a promo in the fucking Rumble, he cut a promo inside the Elimination Chamber, and then he cut a promo on the way to the ring at WrestleMania 26. I'm like, why does this dude keep on cutting promos on every single pay-per-view? And it's because he was a fucking great talker, and the gimmick was great, and he really ran with it, and it was awesome. WWE never did the SES justice, but I thought the performance he had in this Rumble was just fucking amazing. But from Punk to the Phoenix surprise, to the Edge return, to the ending, to, Edge tossing out John Cena, Batista, and Cena kind of having their little thing to set up their match for Mania, really made this the greatest, not greatest, I apologize, one of the most fun and my favorite, by far, Royal Rumble of all time. But that could be surpassed on Sunday. Who knows? The 2017 Royal Rumble, you got The Undertaker, you got Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, all the potential surprises, Baron Corbin, Braun Strowman, The Miz, Dean Ambrose, Sami Zayn. There's a lot of potential surprises we could see on Sunday, in addition to the already stacked card that Rumble has. The overall pay-per-view should be great. TakeOver on Saturday, tomorrow should be great too. But the Rumble match itself is particularly interesting this year just because for the first time in at least 7 to 8 years, if not a decade, the Rumble does not feel overly obvious in terms of who will win. So I'm excited to see. I'm excited to find out. Maybe we'll do a different list next year with the 2017 Royal Rumble being my new favorite one. I hope so. I would love for it to be great. We'll find out on Sunday. So that being said, guys, I apologize for the 20-minute tirade here in the video blog here today, but I expect nothing less. I pretty much go long in these videos almost all the time. But as always, guys, we'd love to hear from you guys in terms of your favorite Royal Rumble matches. Was it the first ever Royal Rumble? Was it the 1992 Royal Rumble? a Rumble from the 90s, a Rumble from the early 2000s, like the '02 Rumble, I really liked. Again, an honorable mention. '02 Rumble, '92. Other good Rumbles I enjoyed. That's pretty much most of them. I think I kind of hit upon most of them. '02, '92 I liked a lot. '03 and '04 were also really, really good. I forgot to mention those. The '03 and '04 Royal Rumbles were fucking amazing. So definitely, that probably, one of those probably would have made number 5 had it not been for the 2016 Rumble. But yeah, great Royal Rumbles. I'm hoping to watch both of those back before Sunday's show. So that being said, guys, hit me up on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant, on Facebook as well at facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. And right here on YouTube as well in the comment section down below, list your top 5, top 7, top 10 favorite Royal Rumble matches in honor and preparation of Sunday's 30th annual Royal Rumble pay-per-view and Royal Rumble match, which should be great. So here's hoping it is indeed an awesome event. So until next time, guys, I'm Graham GSM Matthews. Enjoy the Royal Rumble on Sunday, and I'll catch you folks down the road to WrestleMania.